episode number 89 with Mike Sneideman. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. Here with me today, we have none other than
Mike Sneideman.
Mikey, how the hell are you?
I've been on this show before. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, you've been on once or twice.
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. You just had a trip down. Where did you go?
Cabo San Loser.
Nice. Sounds like you had a good time.
That's a statement of me, not the place. No, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Have you ever done an all-inclusive vacation?
Yeah, kind of. My wife and I did one down to Aruba for like 2 days. It was one of those all-inclusive resort things. It was like 360, room, food, everything was paid for. Oh, except for drinks. We had to pay for a drink.
Yeah, this was pretty amazing. I mean, liquor, the food and stuff. I just never, so I every morning, go to the breakfast buffet and pick out, and then a couple mango margaritas by the pool and just eat. And yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
Nice.
I spent most of my time just sitting in the sun reading to myself, and I didn't socialize at all. One night I did go to the clubs, and it's just like I poked my head in the busiest one, and like it was just a bunch of drunken frat boys and younger chicks, and I'm like, it's just. I went home and signed up for a $9 turbo on Carbon Poker, I think. So that's the extent of my. Unfortunately, I don't have any tales of women or anything like that. My first day by the pool, this was an adult-only club, by the way.
Only way to go.
Yeah, which I don't think was to create like a swingers atmosphere. It's just to keep the kids away. I don't know. You know what I mean? Just so,
you don't have
so the pool can be rowdy and people can drink and all that kind of stuff without being self-conscious about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a party atmosphere at the pool. They used to they brought a basketball hoop out there, and there was like these 4 or 5 like young chicks who were playing. They were trying to get enough people to play the game.
Yeah.
And one of them had the ball. She's like, "Hey, we need another player," and like threw the ball while I was sitting by the side of the pool to me. And I'm like, I hadn't prepared myself for like this was the grand opening, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is like you could drive a Mack truck to this opening here. But so I said, no, I'm busy reading a poker book or something, so whatever. That was it. And then
you didn't take the green light.
No, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't ready for it. I was like, in a few minutes, yeah. So, and then I pretty much didn't speak to another human being for the next 8 days.
It's purpose. It's not the Mikey I know.
No. It was the purpose was to I was hoping to have like some sort of midlife crisis where I'd have to take my life in a new direction. But of course, you come back and personal change is hard and just back to life again. But yeah, it was a good time, and hopefully I can keep making a few dollars and take another more exotic vacation sometime in the fall, early winter, back to Europe, Mediterranean. I'm thinking so.
Right on, cool.
And so yeah, it was a good time. What else is Steve? I was my sister had this idea, and about starting my own little Amazon business. This was not even knowing about what you're doing.
Okay.
But I'm always talking about how I want to open a used bookstore.
Yeah.
And which is just impractical because of my own character and opening a business and how much commitment it would take. But, the industry itself is just dying. But she's like, why don't you start with like Amazon, like selling books on there? Just get used to the process.
Yeah.
So that was, I thought
well, you could. I mean, I do sell books on there. Books are not as profitable as... you'll get books that sell right away, and then you'll get books that'll sit on the shelf for a year before somebody finally buys them. And if you do what I do and you send them into the Amazon fulfillment centers, then you have to pay for storage while they're sitting there.
Right,
if you mail it from your house, then you don't have to, but you have to always be home because when someone orders it, they want it quick, and you got to physically wrap it up and put it in an envelope or a little box or whatever you're going to ship it in, and then take it down to UPS or take it down to the post office and mail it. And
Well,
I
I would
prefer.
not even be thinking about renting out space. This would be more like, yeah, just have a few books. And well, I had a buddy who did the same thing using eBay like 10 or 15 years ago. And it's
Okay.
basically people didn't know how much stuff was worth. I guess it's similar to Amazon. They would just pay double what something's worth. So he'd go to bookfinder.com and buy a book for $6 and then sell it for 12
Okay.
and with shipping. And, so you make a couple bucks in every book you buy. But so I mean, it would be profitable. Whether it's I can make $20 an hour doing it if you want to break it down into an hourly wage. But for me, I guess I don't know. Most of my plans don't come to anything. But I just thought you'd find that interesting. Them throwing that into the back burner
Amazon,
here.
it's fun. It's fun. I dig it. I got my neighbors doing the bidding auctions for me, and I just hired a kid who's actually the son of one of the guys at work. This kid, Cody, he's trying to become a fireman, and I hired him to help me on the processing side of it, cleaning up the items and then repackaging them and finding the listing on Amazon, entering it in. So now I've got help on that end. I think the next step is I'm going to train Andrew, my editor, and his girlfriend Julie to start picking out the profitable items at these auctions and then sending the list to Aaron, my neighbor. And then if I can get maybe 2 or 3 more guys to help me on the processing side, I think that'll really kind of kick it off. But I don't know if you're interested. It doesn't have to be just books. I mean, you could start out, at least the way I did was my wife and I started out by going to garage sales.
Right.
And because people will buy something and it'll sit in the box unopened. It sits in their garage for 2 years because it was a Christmas present or whatever, and they just never used it. And they're like, $3, just take it. And this may resell for 30 or 40 on Amazon.
So how long were you away from the point where you just walk up to your mailbox box each day and don't have to do anything and just pull out your check for $2,000? I guess that point never reaches because you always have to have somebody underneath you who you're watching and keeping disciplined and have a little bit of fear that they're just not doing it right, kind of shit, right?
Yeah, you it's kind of like here's the analogy. I heard it before, and I think it's pretty accurate. It's like when you're starting it or when you're the boss, you're kind of always carrying around all these dirty pots and pans and plates. You know what I mean? And the best people that you want to get for you are ones that when they come up, you don't want them handing you more dirty forks and plates. You know what I mean? You want them to go like, oh, wow, that you need some of those dishes helped with. Let me grab some of those. Those are the people that you want to look for. The ones that see that you're carrying this handful of dirty plates and they want to grab a few from you so that they can wash them. That should be kind of your mindset when you're looking for people. Not ones that are adding to the pile, but ones that are trying to help you with it.
Right. Yeah, I have another analogy. Steve, you're a bank robber.
Okay.
And you're looking for a gang of young hoods to help you to keep on stealing from people.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the first thing that came into my mind.
I mean, there will be for probably every 2 guys that you find are good, there's 8 that you find out right away they're just not going to work out. And it's better to just nip it in the butt right then than to string this out and just create more of a headache later on.
Right.
But it's fun. I dig it. I think, the next stage is definitely getting more people to help me on the processing side, and then and then start doing the online auctions. Start doing the finding the profitable items and like that. And that takes a bit of I don't know if it's skill as much as it is experience, just recognizing what's good and what's not. But if you're going to start out, I would say start with garage sales. That's probably the easiest way and the most profitable right off the bat. We actually started like going to Walgreens and Walmart and looking at their clearance racks and finding a makeup brush that sells for $4 on Amazon and we can buy it for $1 and we're going to make 75 cents a brush. That was just it was good for us learning, but it's just not worth your hourly at all,
Right.
But once you get into like buying pallets and stuff, I'm actually looking at buying pallets of those little K-cup coffees You know,
Okay.
the Keurig.
I think, yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah, you're
Yeah, those ones. I think a guy just bought them. As much as they wanted to sell, I would have had to invest 20 grand, and I probably would have made 25 over the course of the next 8 months. But storing all that stuff and then probably even more than that, processing it, and then investing the 20 grand right off the bat, I'd be much more comfortable doing a third or maybe even 25% of that. And then that would be something that I could more handle. But to have to buy all those at once, they're selling these in truckloads,
right.
so I'm not quite there yet, but hopefully in another year or two, that'll be something that I can do.
It might be not too far from the point where working for the fire department's costing you money there.
Something recently happened at work. I actually just found out yesterday I'm getting promoted. And I got to pick my station, pick my shift. I only got 2 more shifts as a fireman. And then I'm going to go to a pretty busy house. It's got a battalion chief and 7 guys. So a total of 8 guys, counting me. And so I'm going to have my own crew, my own area, my own engine. I'm excited, man. This has kind of put the fire back in me for
nice
going to work. I've gotten a mixed, probably 50% congratulations and 50%. It's just a shade under a decade. It's about time. I'm like, all right.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm stoked. It's gonna be cool.
Right. It took you 7 years to win your first sit and go. So hey, you're used to patience here.
Yes. There were 6-man sit and goes too.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah. So yeah. Speaking of poker, here I'm trying to think. Got all my money off Carbon.
Nice.
So right now I'm financially in my best spot ever, of course, and I've even been doing okay at cash since returning from Vegas.
Nice.
I have taken it kind of in the rear, playing we've had this discussion before, and at this point I need to totally focus on cash or online tournaments. Online tournament seems the way to go, but I don't know. I think I've kind of turned around to cash. I'm kind of figuring it out.
You played yesterday, right?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I lost like $100.
Okay.
But I haven't actually done the computation. I'm going to just say, for just argument's sake, that my last 400 hours, I've probably made 10,000. That's probably $25 an hour.
That's respectable.
And my original, I'd like to think, for a couple of years playing on Carbon there, I'm going to guess that I was making $40 to $50 an hour. I could be wrong.
You were killing it.
But I don't know if I can do that online right now. It's just ACR. I mean, I've run ridiculously bad there. But even, you can look on the HUD and see how many big blinds per 100 you're winning or losing.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be a neutral guy, losing, just breaking even there in terms of big blinds, which isn't good if you're trying to be a winning player. But I'm actually like losing like 6 big blinds per 100, which is like obscene over 20,000 hands.
Wait, in what position?
I'm losing 6 big blinds per 100. No, just overall.
Oh, overall, yeah, that's not too good.
Yeah, so that's just absurdly bad. So I don't know if that site's beatable anymore.
Now, is that your expected value, or is that just
no? I should be breaking even. My expected value would be 0 big blinds per 100, neither negative or positive, almost break even, or slightly ahead, like 0.6. I was just looking at the numbers. I'm ahead a few big blinds over 22,000 hands. I should be, but I'm down like a shitload of big blinds.
Okay, so your expected value should be
break even.
Break even, but you're -6.
Yeah, that's a huge discrepancy.
Yeah. Well, that just means you're running bad. But
yeah, but even if I'm saying the site is, I mean, I'm capable. I'd like to think, if I get deep, I still have an edge. Blah blah blah. But that site is only marginally profitable, if anything. Although they do have put good, and that's the place that has like the best, volume. I think maybe.
Yeah.
So that site's on. I don't know if this is true. I was very excited about Carbon Poker coming back. Because I actually won a tournament in Cabo playing Carbon Poker for like 2,600. So I'm like, oh, this is just great. And then someone was telling me they're not accepting new players there. Like they don't even want to rebuild poker.
Wow.
Which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But I guess they bring new poker players on. It's just more money coming from the sports betting. Or, well, either way, that site's not necessarily going to make a comeback. in
Yeah.
terms of volume. I mean, basically, if I want to make $40 an hour where this is all going, I need to have a certain volume of buy-in tournaments. Like Carbon used to have their $200 each night, and now $100, their biggest one, and it's only like a 10K or whatever, So, and now I'm sure you heard Bovada
Yes.
is ending their poker room.
Well, they're transferring over to Ignacio. Hang on,
Ignition.
What's it called?
Ignition, I think.
Oh, Ignition. Yeah, Ignition. Okay. What did I say? Ignacio? Yeah, it's
So
called Juanito Poker.
So we don't really know the implications of that, but most people say it's going to be bad because the gamblers, the sports bettors, are not going to be playing poker. All the people who came on to Bovada to do that. So that site gets harder. So is it even beatable? I don't, or at least it's. I mean, online poker is beatable, but is it? So basically, I'm thinking of being a cash game guy, investing time in learning that. And, I got to talk to Mark about this, and then just doing the Sunday grind.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Have you played on Ignition Poker yet?
No. I mean, it's the same as Bovada, so there's nothing really to look at. Although a lot of people are excited. It's like, well, at least we'll have the synchronized breaks now because they'll be doing this for poker players. And that hasn't happened. They do not have synchronized breaks.
They don't. Okay.
So they didn't even.
I got all excited.
So Steve, the exploding bladder Barton is still hindered by the site here.
I just transferred my money over last night on. I've been putting it off for weeks, and then I'm like, okay, I just got to do this, and it took me like 4 minutes. I don't know why I put it off so long. Super simple, but I haven't played on it yet. But I looked at the software, and it looks like a carbon copy of Bovada. It looks exactly the same.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I have to decide here. This is a moment, of course, like I said, I mean, my attitude towards poker is always changing towards results, but I've done like 4,000 the last couple of weeks on these, on Bovada and ACR. And I'm just like, maybe it's time to, and in that time I'm up playing cash. And I think I still have a shitload to learn about cash, but, I've shown discipline there. I think there was one day, maybe I told you or talked about it last time, where I was up like $1,000 at 5-5, and I saw all the regs and studs were showing up.
Yeah.
And I just moved to 2-3.
Good for you.
I picked up my money and left.
Right on.
And
Mikey wouldn't have done that a year ago.
No.
He would have buckled in and played.
There's still a few. Yeah, there's still. There's funny. There was a couple days ago where I had a pot where I had the nut flush draw and like raise someone on the flop, but then just checked behind on the turn and checked on the river, and the guy won with like third or fourth pair. And I'm like, oh, Mike of a year ago never would have lost this pot.
Yeah,
I would have bet big on the turn and stuff, but I'm trying to reduce. Only play the big pots. I'm paying people off less. I'm able to get rid of some hands. I can fold. I'm folding aces 3 times a week, and whatever. Although there's still probably a good cash game play. If I've won 10,000 of the last 4 hours, 400 hours, you would probably have won 13, 14,000 at least. You'd be paying a few less people off. But of course, I'm splashy, so I get paid off with the bluffs. Yesterday I won a massive pot right away with I hit my set, and the guy called me down with top pair. He's like, this guy bluffs so much. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Those are spots where you get paid off where I wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, poker wise, we'll see. Again, if I'm going to go to cash, I need to start studying cash and watching training videos and all that stuff for that, and really take it seriously. Yeah, more than all let's just say, this is jumping ahead. Let's just say I get like the emotional, mental side and the bankroll management side. Strategically, I mean, I don't know if we're going to talk about hands. Like the big questions I have are just like basic. What should be my opening range here on this exact table?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I have. If you have the weakest player in the world who's limping, the conventional wisdom is you should be isolating.
Yeah.
So I did that yesterday. Somebody would limp for 5, and I'd immediately make it 30. But 3 people behind me would call, because if they want to see flops, they can't just fold every time I raise.
Yeah.
So do I make it 50 now, or do I just fold or limp behind and just because like I said, I doubled like early. I was up to $3,000, and then I slowly just leaked down. And I missed a couple flush draws and blah blah blah. I mean, it could have been easily if I hit a few draws, I could have easily had a $2,000 day. But
Joe and I talked about this. I don't remember if you were on with us or not, but he talked about that exact spot, and he said that he found he was trying to isolate the fish with hands like Jack 9 suited and 8 9 suited and stuff like that, and then he was having the same problem. Just a bunch of regs behind him are calling, and then now he's playing this 4-way pot with 9 high, and you're just getting all these sticky spots. And he said what he's done is he's basically now just either limping along with the 8 9 suited or just dumping it and waiting until he's got something, something
right.
a little bit ahead, like ace 10 or ace jack or, queen jack suited or something like that, to where, he can stand having a couple of regs call behind him. And not only that, but since he's now not re-raising or not raising more often, they're more often folding behind him, and you more often do isolate the fish.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right. And
I was going through the same thing online though, not in cash.
Yeah, and I guess you don't have to worry about being perfectly balanced here, because even if you take all these suited connectors out of your squeezing range, let's just say,
yeah,
from the big blind, if you're no longer squeezing with 8 9 suited, just hoping to hit it, just because when you do squeeze with aces, you're still getting paid a lot of times.
Yeah.
As long as you're aggressive enough where people aren't, they're not even going to break it down. We're like, well, yeah, he's opening a lot of pots, but this is when he puts in 150 here, he's still bluffing kind of shit.
Yeah.
So that's about it. Live poker, quickly, just go live tournaments. Again, this is the new Mike 2.0. Who I've declared has arrived every 2 weeks for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think we're on Mike 14.2.
Actually, it's been the last 30 years. But anyways, I digress. I don't know if this is a sign of, but like there's been a poker series at the bike. Well, first of all, I want to spend as much time with my son here. But so their main event, the 4K, I don't know. I think maybe you retweeted it for me. I'm looking to find some. I wanted to sell 50% of myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I'm giving up too early. I asked for the retweets. Darius immediately said, I'll take 5%.
Nice.
But no one else has asked for anything. No one else stepped in and wanted a piece. So I could go to 2+2 or this, but I'm like, you know what? Technically I got that much money and it wouldn't cripple me. You know what I mean? I could put $4,000 in the tournament. But I'm like, that's just irresponsible.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to have to skip the damn thing.
Okay.
Or
when's it start?
Starts a week from Sunday, I think, the 28th or something.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe
we could throw it out here on the show. If you get 50%, play it. If not, then.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do.
Okay.
But again, maybe this is late. I could go to 2+2 in stakings, and I probably could get the money. But so, anyways, after Vegas, of course, I'm jonesing for live tournaments, which is still still going to be, I think, my bread and butter. Hopefully, long term. I've got like a couple good scores coming to me. But, again, bankroll, other issues. And, just traveling to the bike, first of all, just for these little $200 tournaments, even with the big guarantee, just financially probably doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm just better off going to the local card room and hopefully making what'll be my new wage, $30 to $40 an hour.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So, not that I'm done with it. I also tweeted out, I was asking people, what's the best circuit stop to go? If you want to be a casino championship and make that national championship, I think, you know how that shit works?
No.
I don't know if, Steve, you're so behind. No, the WSOP has a circuit. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
And for every circuit, they got like 12 events, and they keep points for a number of first, second places and all that kind of stuff. And whoever has the most points at the end wins a seat to the national championship, the 10K national championship, which is the bracelet event.
Okay. Not
the main event, but a different thing. So, and the person who wins the main event gets that too. So every circuit stop, there's two. So basically, I'm going to 2 or 3 circuit stops this year, and I want to go to the ones that have the least number of players to increase the chance of winning the championship.
Yeah, lower the variance.
And so those are my live poker plans for now. And I might have to I'll have to keep an eye on what's going on in the LA area. But I think Lake Tahoe and maybe Council Bluffs, Iowa are the two top ones I might consider going to.
Okay, cool.
And there's a guy from Oceans who wants to go with me, so we're talking. We'll split the hotel room and travel expenses and treat all that in a more rational manner.
That's perfect. When you go, let me know. I want a piece.
Okay, there we go, Steve.
Yeah. I had a student that went out to Melbourne. He played. He was going to play 5 tournaments. He ended up playing 4 because he combined 2 of them, and didn't get it. But the 2 biggest ones that he went out on, he was an 80% favorite at least, and then the guy got lucky. But yeah.
So he needs to hire a new coach, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't go that far, but.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying, Steve.
It was fun. I love sweating guys on Twitter. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, that was that's the most that's the most fun part. I was actually thinking about that. Someone was asking about all the events I play this summer, and I was talking about the win tournaments. Well, why don't you just play the win tournaments and not play the others? I'm like, well, the WSOP's got a better blog where my buddies can watch my chip count and get all excited about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to duplicate. What was going on there, obviously in the Colossus would be impossible to duplicate anywhere else. Not just because of the money, but because the excitement of keeping track of all the hands and all that kind of shit.
Oh yeah. It's fun. I love this game. Talking about it right now, I feel like I want to get on and grind.
Trying to think what else, Stevie, here with my. I got it. Me and Carlos had the weight loss bet,
Mm-hmm.
and of course neither of us we're both like just got his. Neither of us did anything to improve on that.
Yeah, just kept eating more pancakes.
I've put on another 8 pounds or so in just the last couple of months, and for the first time, my buddy here was cleaning up. He gave me a bunch of pairs of shorts like a year and a half ago that were too loose for me. But I'm like, oh, these are nice. I can use a belt. And one of them I tore yesterday sitting in my car. The belt, the button just flew off. So I'm like 224 pounds here, Steve. So I got to lose 30 pounds in the next year is my goal here. So we'll see if I can do that. That's one of the. Oh yeah, and I brought this funny thing. This is another reason I didn't want to go out and. Cabo, which is, the very first night, I brought like these 2 nice pairs of linen pants, perfect like summer wear. And I hadn't worn them in a couple of years. And needless, not even close to fitting me. Didn't even occur to me how much weight I've put on. I could barely get it up to the top of my legs, And I'm like, this is a sign. Okay, this trip is about a fat guy sitting by the pool eating margaritas. And the next time I go on a vacation, it's going to be about the, virile middle-aged man going looking for women here. I gotta lose a few pounds here. It's pretty appalling, really. But
well, the one advantage we have as men is women are much more in tune to our personality than they are to our looks.
Right.
So that's a big advantage that we have.
Right. I can't switch to Carlos's philosophy of the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I can't either. Yeah. That's
I guess.
No, I can't.
I think I was privy to if I didn't give up so quickly in the Rampage Diaries and just had a camera on some of the gems that Carlos was spitting out in Vegas. We're talking about one woman. Is she too big? And he's like, the chances are if she's not embarrassed to leave the house, she's not too big.
Oh God.
Trying to think, I should have been writing some of the stuff down. Once I actually accused him, I'm like, "That you didn't come up with that shit on your own. That's Chris Rock, right?" He's like, "No, man, that's mine." I forget. He had one good line. I was like, he does spit out some gems. I got to say,
he does, and he's got such a dry delivery that it's just even that much better.
Yeah. So the low hanging fruit is all him there, and I'm always thinking of that expression there.
Well, he won't have any competition, so good for him.
Right. I don't know. See, Stevie. So what else how's your wife doing here these days?
She's doing good.
She's not regretting the life of because Steve, you're a money guy here. She doesn't need to do this, right?
Yeah. Well, there's pluses and minuses, and right now she's flying from I think Dallas or Richmond. She's going down to Leon Mexico, somewhere. I have no idea where it is.
Okay.
I know it's in Mexico. And then tomorrow she's going to fly back home, and she'll be home for a day. I'll be at work, and then when I get off the next morning, then her and I are going to take off to. We're 95% sure it's going to be Hawaii for 4 days. So that's the plus. We get free tickets out there, free tickets back. We've been to Aruba and just a bunch of little vacations that never would have been possible if she didn't have this job. And we're getting good health insurance and, a few thousand extra every month, which is nice. Sure. The downside is with both our schedules, our time kind of goes in chunks of weeks, so yeah, we won't see each other for a week, but then we'll have like 4 days together, and I like it. She likes it. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with our schedules, I don't think we could do this for the next 5 years, but until she gets transferred to LA, right now she's out in Dallas, we make it work. And when we met, she was living down in Colombia and I was up here in America. So we're not, having a long distance relationship is not foreign to us. But I am really looking forward to her getting out here in LA. And I know she is too.
And when you're lonely, Steve, you got Mr. Kicks rubbing against your leg.
Yeah.
So you're filling the needs there.
He's Mr. Kicks the poker cat's not doing too hot. I took him down to the vet. He was peeing in the hallway, and I'm like, the freaking litter box is 4 feet from you, dude. What are you doing? And last time he did that, I took him to the vet, and he was sick, so they gave him a shot, and then a week later he was better, and everything was normal. This one, I took him down there, and then the doctor said, he's like, oh, is he drinking a lot of water? Yeah. Is he eating a lot of food? Yeah. He's kind of lethargic? Uh-huh. Okay. And then they did a test, and he's got, I didn't know animals could have this, but he's got diabetes. And so I was like, huh. And I said, well, what's the prognosis here? And he said, well, he's probably got, less than a month to live, and, you need to either think about putting him down or letting him go on his own, but it won't be a pretty death. Oh man! So I came home, and Alejandra came home the next day, and I told her about it, and this is the difference. I could see where the vet. She immediately took him to the vet again, and right after I did, and this is where the vet obviously saw a bleeding heart and dollar signs when she walks in. And she comes home, and now we have insulin, we have shots, we have this medicine that we're supposed to give him, and or that we are giving him. And so now we have a diabetic cat that I have to shoot with insulin twice a day. And he's still not doing much better. And I don't think he has much time left. I'm just trying to make what little time left he has comfortable. And it's kind of sad. He was such a good cat. He'd sit up on my table and just sleep while I'm grinding, and about every 4 hours he'd want food.
I'm so emotionally fragile and sensitive that I couldn't even get a dog just to experience that. It would be too much for me, I think.
It's tough. But I never thought I could get so attached to, an animal, but he has such a personality that it's sad. It's sad, but I'm just glad that, we've only had him for about a year or so. I'm just glad that we got him for the little time that we have. And
my dad's dad had a boxer, and he used to tell the story, and it was just, you could tell he didn't like even reliving it or talking about it, but pretty much did the same thing. He took him to the vet, and the vet said, well, do you want to say goodbye to your dog? He brought him in to be euthanized,
Yeah.
And the doctor left him alone with the dog, and my grandfather even would tell the story, would have tears in his eyes. And he was a widower for like 20 years. So my father was always, a pet would make sense for companionship.
Yeah.
He's like, I just can't go through that with that again.
Yeah.
There's so much guilt over actually being So my father was the same way. After one of our dogs died, he couldn't speak to another human being for like a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mother's like, get over it, mow the lawn. Just trying to get him back into,
Go paint a bathroom, do something.
She has a little more tough-minded approach and accepting of, the big sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, anyways.
Yeah. Poor little guy. But, on the lighter side, I have a hand.
We always go from death to hand analysis, Steve. Only you and I can go from the tragic to the trivial with such deftness and dexterity. So yes, let's talk about a hand here.
Okay. This is
After I'm
from.
done wiping away the tears from my eyes, Steve, as I open up to you about my family, and 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. This is from Soapy13, also known as Marius. He wrote in, let's see, villain. Okay, villain seems quite laggy.
Do we know anything about the person who called in here, Steve, or sent you the hand?
No, he just contacted me on Twitter. He says, love your show, man. When I found you a few weeks ago, I had to go back to the beginning and listen to all the podcasts, but I found I couldn't go back further than episode 54. Okay. What you can do, if you go on iTunes, it'll have all of them. Stitcher, it'll have all of them. I think on our website, it only goes to 54, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be why. So check it out on iTunes or Stitcher, and you should be able to pull them all
So
up.
this is a fan of the show. That's I'm just trying to. I just assume when anyone contacts you, it's spam somehow, Steve.
Well, I get a lot
Man,
of
these Russian women really love me. Like, people are just randomly sending hands to the first person who. Okay.
Yes.
A fan of the show. That's what I like to hear.
Yes. It says,
So,
by the way,
hello, Soapy. Okay, yes.
By the way, you're awesome. So I'm going to bask in that here for a minute.
Thank you. Oh, I thought he was talking about me. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. It says, a pickup artist. My man. Looking forward to your future regards and thanks a bunch. Marius C.
Oh, let's move beyond that shit.
I think it's episode 50, Marius. We actually go into an entire episode about pickup. So if you can get past 54 on iTunes or Stitcher, then you should be able to find it.
At some point, Steve, I need to. I do want to get into your actual threesome with the married couple, but I'm going to have weapons nearby just in case I need to injure myself halfway through the show. Just to,
at the bare minimum, a bottle of scotch.
Yes, just have an oyster fork where to carve out one of my ears just to reduce the chances of me actually absorbing this information. No, I do want to hear that actually, but okay, we got a hand. I'm sorry.
Okay. Villain seems quite laggy and definitely a reg. Played 180 hands, all at this table, and his stats are 28-22, aggression factor 3.4, and 3-bet 6.9. So he's a 28-22-7. This is on Poker Stars. I don't see the buy-in.
Okay.
No buy-in here. Let's see. No. Okay. All right. I have one hand history with this player at the table. About 20 hands before this, I made a move on him from the small blind with king-queen off, as he was opening very wide. He was under the gun short-handed, so he's a few to our left. When he called my 3.2x 3-bet, he then called my flop C-bet. The timing just felt like I could barrel him off, putting half of my remaining stack on the turn. After a long tank, he eventually folded. So having that hand with him, I didn't want to fold 9-9 when he 3-bet me from the big blind. Okay, so going on to the hand, Hero, we are 7-handed. Hero's on the, let's see, why does it say that he's in the cutoff, but it looks like there's a dead small blind here because it goes dealer and then big blind. So Hero's in the cutoff with 9-9. Blinds are 2,800, 5,600 with a 700 ante. So the total pot is 13.3K. Okay, Hero.
I'm assuming this is probably a final table. The blinds and antes are so high, especially if it's short-handed. How many players?
We got 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah, everyone's fairly deep. And Hero's got 9-9 with 320K in the cutoff. Total pot is 13K.
So that's 45 bigs around, or something like that. 46 bigs.
Yeah, around there, mid-40s.
Okay.
Okay, Hero bumps it up, and he makes it 12.1. Okay, so with the blinds at 56, he that's a little bit more than a min-raise. Button folds, and the big blind re-raises. So he makes it 33.6. And now it's back on Hero. So Hero's got a call, what would that be, about 20K? I don't think we're ever folding here, right? Especially given the history.
No.
And I can't really think of a reason to 4-bet here. Can you?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how aggressive he is, I might be four bet getting it in here. I mean, pocket nines on the button. Um, that's fucking monster hand.
Really?
Uh,
Even with 45 bigs?
I know it shouldn't matter, the buy-in size, but I'd like to know the ICM. Are there anybody are there any real super short stacks, or
There's
should we operate and discuss in his hand
Yeah,
like the final,
actually, there
like it's a
is
final
one
table?
short stack who has he folded UTG plus one, and he's got what is that? 14 bigs, something like that,
Okay, it's
maybe
not
13.
ridiculously short, but yeah, you're deep enough certainly where maybe you just want to flat and see a flop. But no, I don't. I mean, pocket nines is the sixth best hand in poker there.
True.
I mean, what is his? If he's three betting 6% of the time, then probably in this particular spot from the big blind against a button open, his three bet is probably, what would you say, 12,
I
15%?
was going to say exactly that, 12 to 15.
So, I mean, if you plug that in equity calculator, pocket nines over that range, which is just like every pair and a bunch of aces, is you're well ahead of his three betting range.
Well, now if let's say we four bet, he made it 33. It's 20 for us to call. If we four bet, then our sizing should be like I'm going to say like 70. We'll be in position.
I was going to say like 66, 67K, but yeah, that sounds about right. That's fine too.
Okay. Okay. Now,
Now,
if he five bet rips, then we got to fold, right?
man, I don't know. I would have trouble folding there.
We've already committed
Well,
20% of our
it is
stack.
it's more about the villain and the size of the size of your stack. I mean the strength of your hand, pocket nines. Um, I don't know if you had four bet previously. Um, then I'd be more likely to call a five bet shove because you might think you have some light. If this would be like the first time you four bet him and he shoved,
Yeah.
then I'd be more likely to think that he's never bluffing there,
Yeah.
that he's doing it only for value.
Yeah.
He's only doing it with um, maybe tens or better, ace queen suited, ace king. That's pretty narrow. He might be doing it sevens or better. Because from the villain's perspective, when he's ranging you, I mean, he's probably ranging you as opening 30, 40% of hands.
Yeah.
And then maybe because of the dynamic, four betting, a fair amount.
Yeah.
20% of your opening range or something. So you like the flat, for sure.
I like the flat. We're taking a flop in position. We got nines. I think, if the flop comes down with the low cards, that definitely misses his range, and we can kind of control the pot and just kind of see where it goes from there.
Maybe this is showing just a lack of confidence in my post-flop ability here, as much as anything else, but this is just one of those hands where it's, you're going to be confused what you do. I think the fact you're in position, maybe, yeah, I can see why just flatting is better.
Yeah, if he checks and then we bet and then he rips the flop, depending on the timing, I think we can get away from this. If he checks and we bet and then he just calls, we can kind of go from there. Depending on the flop, maybe he checks and we check behind and we can see a turn. I don't know. I think.
Right. Okay. I mean, 40 big blinds is a lot.
Yeah,
Or
here we're
44.
only putting in 10% of our stack if we just call. If we got a three bet, now we're putting in 20. And, I don't know. There's a lot of flops that really suck for nines. There's
Let's
some
put it this
that are
way:
pretty damn good.
if I was 30 to 35 bigs, I'm four bet ripping or four bet calling every
Yes, me
time.
too. I totally agree.
So
I just feel like 45 is too much with nines.
okay, so we flat. That's fine.
Okay, let's see what Hero does
what
here.
did Soapy do?
Hero calls. Okay,
Okay.
so we go to flop. We've got 80K in the pot. Villain in the big blind has 377. And hero, we have 300. So the effective stacks are 300. We got 80K in the pot. Pocket nines, and the flop is Jack 8-3, rainbow. Villain bets, looks like he almost clicks the half pot button, but he goes a little bit more. He bets 41-2. So he bets a little bit more than half pot.
Not folding.
Me neither.
I don't know. Is calling the best option? Would you ever raise here as a value slash, or, see where you're at, I guess?
Well, if we raise, we got to make it at least 80. And by then, we got so much of our stack in. It would be really tough to get away from it at that point.
Well, 34K in pre-flop. If you were to raise 90 here, 124K, that is a little bit more than a 30-year stack would be in the pot. But it depends on, I guess, the villain. If you think you're raising here, you can get perfect information. But I guess if you think he's going to fire double barrel a lot with bluffs, I guess maybe there's no point in. I'm just trying to think of a way if we, for some reason, don't have the best hand now, which I think we got the best hand here probably 3 out of 4 times at least.
Yeah.
Have the best hand to somehow get away without getting our whole stack in there, maybe.
Yeah, what Marius says here is he says.
I think I just call pretty much every time here. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. That the value of raising. I mean, I guess the only way you'd be raising would be if you had crap and you missed, or if you had a set and you wanted him to spaz out and throw them all in there.
Yeah.
So, I guess my raising plan doesn't really make a lot of sense, but unless you're going to raise fold. Call, yeah. So I guess call, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he says, Marius says, he's talking about on the flop, it says his 3-bet is about 2.7 or 2.8. So I'm thinking raggedy and suited aces. So this is the range he's putting villain on pre-flop. Raggedy and suited aces, stuff like queen 7 suited, king 5 suited as a bluff, and ace queen, ace king, 10s plus for value. Then he says on the flop, his sizing is big, but it's rainbow, and only the jack a higher card, and it's also a rainbow flop, so I'm always calling 1-bet here. Yeah, I think so too. I don't think I'm ever folding here. And he's got him really wide for his 3-bet. Suited aces, queen 7 suited, king 5 suited. I think that kind of supports our argument for just calling because he's never doing anything. I don't think he's probably not 5-bet bluffing with the king 5 suited, so we keep those in his range.
Well, he said he only bet 2.7. Was it 2.7? And he, I don't know if he's saying then that he was inconsistent with his 3-betting size.
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Yeah, because he said that size maybe gave him some information about usually the smaller 3-bet size for those people who aren't consistent. I mean, for me, I'm one of those, which is probably not good. Usually when I bet a little bit smaller 3-bet it, it's usually more likely to be a bluff or like aces or kings.
Yeah.
Like less likely to be like the middle of my value range, I guess. You know what I mean? Less likely to be pocket 10s and more likely to be the king 5 suited or the pocket aces.
Yeah.
So the smaller range would make my 3-bet sizing probably a little more polarized. So I don't know if that's what he's thinking when he's saying that. If he's I mean, ideally we should always be making it 3.1 consistent sizing. I'm always trying to level people with this size and that size, and especially online, it's just stupid. But anyways, yeah, just the sizing there. And what do you make about the sizing on the flop bet? Does that? I mean, we don't know if this is his standard, but it is 50%. We're in such a dry board. Like I know Mark would tell us, you and I, to bet like 30 to 35% on this board.
Yeah, I think
with your whole range, whether it was aces or, he would tell us we should be betting like 29K or something probably.
I was thinking low 30s, but yeah, same ballpark, 31, 32 into an 80K pot, I think would be my standard, whether I flop a pair of jacks or if I got kings. I think I'm betting about that.
But this could be this guy's standard sizing where he's just always betting 50% regardless. So, um,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
so
Well,
we all agree to call, and that's what he did,
I think
correct?
so. Yeah, I think you got to float at least once here.
So what is what's the pot size right now?
Okay, so the
One
pot
turn.
size is. Let me click play here. Okay. Pot size now is 160. We'll call it 163. Effective stacks are 259 behind.
Okay.
Okay, so on the flop we had Jack 8-3, Rainbow. The turn brings the 7 of hearts, which puts up a backdoor flush draw. We do have the 9 of hearts, so I guess we got one blocker there. For whatever reason, this guy's turned a backdoor. And Villain bets.
Gives us a gutter ball too. We got a few more outs if for some reason we're beat here.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even see that. You're right. We do have a gutter ball. Into 162, he bets 86.5. So he basically, I think that's a half pot bet there.
Um, 86.5. I mean, I don't know, Steve.
These are such sticky
That's what I'm
pots.
thinking.
Yeah.
Like he's, like timing tell. Does he bet real quick? I mean, that might be something here. You might lean a little bit. Now, if this guy, it'd be help to know the villain. Like this is something that like I discuss sometimes. I mean, just because of a guy is running, even though like the most ridiculous numbers, say 34, 27, 16. I think
Yeah.
that's the exact numbers of one guy I keep bumping into on. Doesn't mean when he throws that second barrel out, he's just bluffing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he knows how to, he's winning so many pots pre-flop with his style that he doesn't really need to barrel off. And he might be very good at reading hands and reading board textures and all that kind of stuff. So the fact that this guy's aggressive, and if he's competent, that's not a great bluffing hand for him if he's got ace-x. Because you're not going to be folding a lot of pairs to that hand. If it was a queen, king, or ace, I mean, let's say the villain. If you were the villain, you had pocket twos. Which hands are you barreling on the turn? Probably just overcards to the jack, right? A lot. If
Yeah,
not
I would
giving,
think so.
if not giving up.
For me, I'm just giving up with 2-0, fire one, and then unless I spike a
But
2,
if you did want to bluff, it would probably be the big cards, the best bluffing cards.
ace, king, queen.
Right, because you would
Leaning
have
more towards aces, I think.
because the villain, because the villain never has ace king or ace queen usually because they four bet. They're probably, they're not floating with queen king here. So anyway, I mean, if this guy's good, not just aggressive but good, his turn bet here is, I don't know, more likely to be for value. I mean, I don't know. This is something else we're talking about. How Mike. I mean, back 2 years ago when I was killing a carbon, I would just be double barreling all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, this was what Mark helps me a lot with, reading board textures, blockers, villain depend, all this kind of stuff, which is critical to knowing. But this might be a guy who's like Mike of 2 years ago, who's just going to constantly wants to put people to the test and say your stack is at risk here. So he could just be barreling the turn with his full range just to say fuck you to the guy. I don't know. I still think we got the best hand of the lot here.
Really? Okay.
What's
Okay.
your
My thought was, okay, he bets on the flop and we just call. So we still have ace king, ace queen in his range. We've got for him to barrel twice here. I think he's either already started nutted and he's just going, or he's picked up something with, he either has like ace jack or he has a jack. Or he picked up some kind of equity on the turn with like a flush draw. Like maybe he was bluffing on the flop with ace queen of hearts, and then now he picked up a heart, and he's like, I'm just going with it. But against that range, I think tens and below are checking here. I think all sets are probably betting again, so we're behind those. But man, I just don't like the way nines play against that range. Yeah, maybe he's got ace king of hearts, or he was getting froggy with ace five of hearts or something like that. But I think that's such a small part of his range compared to his value hands and his nutted hands. I think I like, and maybe this is nutty, but I kind of like a fold here because if he checks here, I'm more likely to either check behind or to put in a small bet, into an 80K pot. I might, do like 35 or something like that to just try to squeeze value out of those hands that I was mentioning, like the ace king that has not a whole lot of equity against you, but they are definitely live. Because I feel like if we raise here, we're only getting called by better hands, and then you're getting rid of his bluffs. Fuck, maybe it's a call. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm calling and then puking when he shoves the river, I think. Well, I don't know. Well, first of all, I think he's got a lot more bluffs. Well, it depends. I'd like to know the stats of the hero here, first of all, like how aggressive he is. Because let's just go let's say the villain has those stats, and the villain thinks the hero's good. Then when the villain three bets, he's going to say, well, this guy is pretty good, and he's not going to fold to three bets that often because he knows I have such a wide three betting range.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times, if I'm going to three bet basically, if the villain thinks the hero's good here, then the villain doesn't necessarily think this guy calling a three bet and this guy calling a C bet means anything in terms of his hand strength. He still has lots of crap. He could just be saying, I'm calling every three bet. I'm deep enough to do that. And I have position. I'm calling every C bet just to steal it on the turn.
Okay.
So from the villain's perspective, I don't think the hero necessarily has to have a strong hand.
Okay. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't put him on jacks or better.
Okay.
Where I'm like, well, he has to have a jack here. Well, he never has queens or kings. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard for both players in a late position who are both good just to range each other. Like a lot of times it does just come down to like, so to that whole GTO, just get those chips in first and hope the other guy doesn't have it, I guess.
Now, why would you say you can't have queens or kings?
No, I'm saying the hero can't.
Oh, okay.
Most likely, this is what the villain's thinking.
Okay.
So I can barrel him off a lot on the turn.
Okay. That's an interesting... Okay, so we got three options. We can fold, call, or raise. I think raising is bad, right? Because he's never calling with an 8 there. And he's only calling with a jack or better, right? Or a set. I mean, really, if we raise here, we're getting rid of all his bluffs, and he's just calling with better hands, right?
Yeah, the only... of course, this is a small part of the range, would be you'd be raising just to hopefully get him to fold if somehow he's got like 2 overs and picked up a flush draw.
Okay.
But if he's got 2 overs and picks up a flush draw, he's probably getting the right price to call anyways. I'd have to look at the math there.
It's got to be damn close. Yeah, he bet 86, so that's 86 again. He's getting like 2-1, I think here.
Like I said, this would be like a game. If I'm playing well and I'm one tabling, if I'm like 6 or 8 tabling here, I'm probably just, first of all, just getting it in with the 9s pre-flop, which, might not be good. If I'm playing well here, then maybe I'm going to be able to narrow this guy's range a little bit more on the flop and turn to does he have it or not kind of thing. You know what I mean? Game flow. Yeah, this guy's aggressive. He's got aggressive stats. But, well, he's not going to double barrel here because the dynamic is this. I'm not the guy to mess with because I just, you know what I mean? He just saw me call somebody else down with second pair and be right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or he hasn't been opening nearly as wide on my big blind because he respects me or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a little more game flow stuff. I mean, this is my excuse for not having really a damn clue what to do. I just like to think in game, one tabling, final table, I'm gonna somehow get it right. I mean, I've used that horse shit before. I'm like, well, what does it feel like? What was the first reaction of the hero here? Because
Yeah.
that's about all I can fucking tell. Because I don't think calling or folding either of them are a mistake. Shoving, I guess, is a mistake unless you're just trying to yeah, you're just trying to lock up your equity. But yeah, yeah, it's a tough spot. This is almost why, like, I kind of no. I mean, I'm calling. I'm calling and calling any river other than an ace or a king. I guess that's my final.
Final answer.
That's my final answer.
Okay. I think you've convinced me. I think calling might be a little bit better. I'm going back to what he said his range was pre-flop. And I'm thinking Queen 7 suited and King 5 suited and stuff. I think by raising we're getting all those out, and by calling we keep them in. Yeah, I think I kind of like a call. But man, then you get so much in the pot and so little behind. But
Well, how much would he have left if he calls? Can he fold the river?
let's see. If he calls, there'd be 86 plus 162. So that'd be like 240-ish, and he would have about 180 behind.
Well, there's more than 240. You have to put his call money in too. So there'd be 300 over 300K in the pot.
Oh, is my math off here? That's entirely possible.
Because if
We
he has,
forgot
if
to
he,
take into account that I suck at math.
well, if he's got half his stack and he started with over 300K, then there'd be over 300K in the pot by the time he got to the river. Because the other guy, they would each have 160K in or something.
Okay, they would have 250 in the pot, and to put in 80, 260 minus 86.
Plus 86.
Plus 86. Oh, I'm talking what hero has left in his stack.
Okay.
So 259 minus 86. He'd have 173 left.
Okay, so almost half is. So if they each have 150 in the pot, then the pot's 300K. So yeah, he'd be getting, and then if the other guy he's getting almost 3-1 he's basically getting 3-1 in a call on the river. So if the guy shoves the river, he only has to be bluffing 1 out of 4 times for it to be a proper call. It's almost always going to be a call. So, but I guess, yeah, you don't want to shove here because if he's going to be bluffing, I think I can still fold the river if he shoves ace or king. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got 170K left, what are the blinds and antes?
5,600.
So you would still.
You still have 30 bigs.
Yeah, a little less than that, 25 bigs or whatever. But yeah, you still got a workable stack. I guess you can call. I mean, this is something like I'm always breaking down the math. Oh, 3-1, 4-1, and it's like, yeah, there's no such thing. This is a guy that I was having a conversation, having a drink with him at Oceans. He's like, there's no doing really math on the river because that's like something you do on the flop and the turn. It's just like, do you have the best hand? So. I'm saying this to myself as much as anybody else here. That it's just there's too often I'm like, well, he only has to be bluffing 1 out of 4 times, and it's like if you break the hand down, is he really going 3 streets on a bluff kind of shit? I'm calling. That's my final.
Okay.
That's my. I have trouble folding. You got second pair against an aggressive player here, and like I said, the one thing you think that he's mostly barreling, firing that second barrel for value when he has it.
I think so.
And
or he picked up some equity on the turn where, like he's got King Queen of Hearts or something like that.
I think he's got, just because if he thinks the hero is good, then he's got a fair amount of bluffs in his range here. But I could be wrong. I mean,
and even those, like the Ace King of Hearts, Ace Queen of Hearts, King Queen of Hearts, ones like that. Maybe he was doing 9-10 of Hearts or whatever, which is a metric shit ton of equity again. Oh no, that couldn't be it because we have the 9 of Hearts. But I think some of those hands check the turn, and then if hero bets, they shove.
Some of the top of his range, you're saying?
Yeah.
If he's got a set, he checks the turn. Yeah. I mean, if he's gonna, yeah, that would make sense. I do that line quite a bit.
Yeah.
I see bet and check behind it, especially if I think the other guy's range is capped, where it's going to be hard to get all the chips in.
Yeah.
Um, so what does our hero do?
Okay. Our hero shoves. Well, essentially shoves. He has 12K behind for two big blinds. That was probably a misclick. But he shoves. Villain calls. Well, this is interesting. He doesn't quite shove. He bets everything but two big blinds. Then the river is an offsuit king, and I guess it went check check. And the villain had aces. So, yeah, I think essentially shoving on the turn. I think is uh, bad because I think you're only getting called by better hands, and then you're getting all his bluffs out. I think you're. I was torn there between folding and calling, and I think you're right. I think calling is the better play, and then like you said, waiting to see what happens on the river. Now, when let's say he did call, and then the offsuit king comes out, and villain just rips it. Are you folding?
I have trouble folding cans, Steve. I don't know what, like I said, I don't know the proper play and what I would do, or two things that are vastly different. Although like the turn, I mean, I could already understand like the emotional point that this player's at, just in sympathy, where it's like, well, I'm gonna call the river anyways. Fuck it, let's just get it in now.
Yeah, he kind of says something to that effect. He says, now on the turn, he bets again over half the pot. With us being so deep, I just didn't want to believe him since he was in the big blind and having a gut shot. Now I thought, F you, laggy bastard. You're not fooling me. Ha ha ha. So I raised them all in. But the more I think of it, I think it might be a fold just because of the big sizing on the flop and on the turn. Yeah, I'm torn between a flop or between a fold and a call. I think, but I definitely think ripping is the
Yeah, again, like there's probably you probably could study the man's HUD, and if you had a bigger sample, know exactly how often is he double barrel, how often does he double barrel,
yeah.
and especially here, out of position, how often does he double barrel, kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, maybe the sizing is a giveaway. Um, yeah, the funny thing is, yeah, yesterday, like I said, I'm trying to bluff less, but just kind of an example of, this is like the Ed Miller cash game thing. Is just, at 2-5, you're just going to own people with bet sizing, and just you'll know where they at. So they give up so much information, and basically when they bet smaller, they're scared, and when they bet bigger, they have it. They're just not balanced.
Yeah.
So I had a hand yesterday where like a guy 3-bet me, and I decided to I called with Jack Queen of clubs.
What was your position and stack size and all that?
I want to say I had like 2,000. He had like $1,000,
Okay.
and I opened for like 20. And this is an old dude, who opened for like 60. But he is like an old dude who always is 3-betting. I saw him 3-bet eight ten earlier.
Okay.
So he does have some. Even the old dudes. I mean, this is why poker's like ridiculously hard here.
Yeah. So where were you? Middle position or something? And then
Yeah,
he
I was
3-bet
middle position.
you? Was he in the
like
blinds or
like
button?
the button. He was like the button.
Okay.
So I got
And he made it. You made it 20. He made it 60, and then it just heads up.
yeah.
And then you called. I'm sure, right?
Yeah, Queen Jack clubs, and the flop was like the 9 of clubs, 7 of hearts, 2 of hearts, or something. Let's just say.
Okay.
No, I think it was rainbow flop, and I checked to him, and he bet 60 again.
Okay. So this is 5-10,
So
right?
I probably should just give it up at this point.
This is 5-10,
But I
right?
thought he doesn't have to have it, and I got a lot of turn cards that are good. A lot of
Okay.
things that give me straight draw.
This
Two
is
overs.
5-10, right?
This is 5-5.
5-5. Okay, so we got 60, 60, 120. So we got 130 in the pot, and then you check to him on this flop, and then he bets another 60.
Yes.
I could float one there, I think.
It's if I had a gutter ball, it's definitely a float.
Yeah, definitely.
If it was 9-8, if it was 9-8 versus if I know I can have the nuts on the turn somehow, but basically I got no hand.
And backdoor flush draw with a backdoor straight draw and 2 overs. I don't know. I could go either way.
It's probably just a fold.
It probably is, yeah.
But like I said, the guy, his 3-bet range is going to be pretty strong, but he will.
He'll mix it up with the 10-8.
Yeah, kind of stuff. Like I said, I was stunned when he broke it down to 10-8. He actually hit a flush that hand too, and so I called.
Okay.
And the turn was the 5 of clubs.
Okay. Well, that's a promising card. That's one of the ones we were hoping for to continue this madness.
So I checked to him.
Okay, we got 250 in the pot. Hero checks.
And do we have 250? Is it that much? 50, 130, and 120. Yes. I checked to him, and he bet 60 again.
Right here, I'm thinking marginal made hand. Something like a 9, pocket 8s, maybe 10s. But at least my experience is when they bet on the flop and then they bet the same amount on the turn, it's almost always a marginal made hand. So,
but if he's marginal, why wouldn't he's in position? Wouldn't he just check those hands back?
I suppose.
Or is it like he's going by some? Well, I still have a pair. I have to bet it. Like mentally, I really don't know where this guy's at.
Okay. Yeah, my thought when he bet 60 there is that I would call, and I would think if I had a queen, a jack, or a club, that I've got the best hand.
I call.
Okay.
I mean, I'm getting obviously the right price just for the clubs. If I want to just play it straight up, face up there.
Okay, so 370 in the pot.
Right, and the river's like a two of diamonds or something.
Okay.
As blank as can be. And do you ever lead out here?
Yeah, actually. I was thinking, well, either check fold, check raise, or into 370, bet something like 290, maybe even more.
I checked to him planning on really kind of giving up, but I was thinking about his bet size. I'm like, if he bets small again.
Yeah, that's a green light.
Yeah. So I checked to him, and he bet 60 again.
Oh. Boy, I don't see anything to do but raise here. This just feels like a 9, 8s.
Remember, Mike 2.0, the goal number 1 is not try to get people to raise, not spend less time trying to get people to fold and more time trying to get people to call you when you have hands.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
this just feels like such a weak hand, or maybe backdoor something like ace 2 or.
But why would he wouldn't bet those hands though, would he?
Ace 2 he would. He's got trips now, right? 9, 7, 2, 5, 2.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think I might have had the river card wrong. I don't think there was. It was an
X though, it was like a 3 or something.
I mean, what's his range? Is this like ace 9? Is he doing that with a weak top pair?
That's what it feels like to me. Unless he's doing this like with. See, I just think like jacks and queens would bet more. Unless he's doing this with kings or aces, I suppose that might make sense.
I mean, look, is he just reading me well? Is just super weak, and he's just trying to, just hoping I get caught. I'll get stubborn and call with pocket 6s or something here. Is that what his bet sizing tells us?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I suppose that would make sense. I mean, if he thinks you're super weak, then that would make sense. It just 60, 60, and then
But there's like,
60
what is there,
again.
like $370 in the pot? He's betting 60
370 in
bucks.
the pot, yeah.
I can't call, obviously,
No, no, we're not calling
because
him
queen
queen
high is
high.
not good. It felt just like ridiculous to give up on this pot where the guy never has more than a pair, right? I mean, he never has the nuts here, does he? Doesn't he have to try to? Doesn't he? If he has a set, doesn't he try to bet bigger on the turn, especially when a flush draw's there, the river?
I would think so.
Um, Basically, I didn't have a clue what the fuck he has, but I'm just like he's not super strong, so I can just get him off his hand.
Yeah.
So I popped it to 275.
Okay.
I mean, is that a defensible line?
Yeah, I think so. 275.
And again,
What is
using
that?
using the shabby math here, I mean, if it works just 1 out of 2 times, I'm making a shitload of money here.
Yeah.
275 to win 430. And he shrugs his shoulders like he's not happy about it, but calls with aces.
Huh.
So
Okay.
basically he had no fucking idea what he was doing on the river, anyways. But he
Yeah.
wasn't. I don't think he was trying to induce. He was expecting me to either fold or call, but once I raised, he's like, "Oh no, I wasn't expecting that." But here we go.
Yeah. Huh.
So basically, just in definition of like, usually bet sizing gives you a lot of information. So like Soapy said, he's probably right that the fact that this guy bet more than 50% pot on flop and pretty big on the turn too might have made the turn a fold like you wanted to do. But so anyways, this just cash game hand was like the same, like, yeah, just a weird hand. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Well, he was getting what is that? 3.3. So your bluff there has to work 1 out of 4 times.
I
I
don't know.
still kind of like the raise. Maybe we should have gone bigger. It.
If it was again, if I was in position and he was betting like this, then that's just the green light
Yeah.
because that's the blocker bet of blocker bets. He doesn't want to be raised.
Yeah.
And even like aces and kings, he's check calling there on the river, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty shabbily played hand. But well, first of all, it's just a fold on the flop probably. But then when I call the flop, I got to call the turn, and it just felt dirty to give up on this hand when this guy was so capped in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he has a pair. You are trying to push a guy off
Off
a
a
pair.
pair. Yeah.
So he's got no. It's not bluffing there. He's not like getting cheeky with ace 10 or something like, oh, this will look strong. He's not at that level.
Maybe this is even like an overbet. Maybe you bet something like, I mean, even if you bet twice the pot here, it's
No,
got to work 2/3 of the time. Maybe this is something where you just you check to him, he bets 60, and then you make it like 500 or 600. Now he's got a decision.
This guy, like I said, he can make some moves. When I say old, this guy was like real old, like 75 or 80, not like. But again, he
Okay.
three bet. Well, his three bet was a squeeze, and he had it was 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and he made it 150, which you still got to give the guy credit.
Oh,
And
there was a bunch of limpers in front of you.
No. The one where he squeezed with 8-10 suited.
Oh, okay.
When I was talking about how he three bet, well, that was not even three bet actually. That was just a raise against. But basically, no, that would have been a horribly over bet. I think. Well, maybe not. But no, I think you get these old guys who sit around waiting for 3 hours and they finally get their aces and they just are not folding under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Two black aces, 8, 9, 10 of hearts flop. It's going in.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just.
You're probably right. It's probably just a fold on the flop. But seeing that 9 out there and with the club, and I don't know if I could fold
the river was just. I mean, as it feels bad, you're just like, well, thank God he gave me the good price on the turn, and I got to see it, and but yeah, no, he wasn't. If I made it 1,000 and shoved him in, even with that amount of money, I think he's just never folding there. So Yeah, it's just a weirdly played. The guy had no idea where he was in the hand, and he's just betting a small amount. Like, well,
He's
this
playing
is,
his cards and nothing else.
and but that's my interpretation of it. But maybe maybe he's at another level, and just um, this small bet on the river will look like, weak and indecisive. And go ahead, try to raise me, punk.
I don't think he was thinking that far into it. I mean, how many pros do you know that bet 60, 60, and then 60?
Yeah, it was bizarre. But usually that is good information, though. Like, if they ever bet, um, yeah, if you ever bet, let's say I three bet. I think I had a similar hand where I three bet a guy. He made it 20, I made it 60. Let's just say, or my three betting sizes gets bigger because of if you got a lot of flatters behind, if you got a lot of people behind you. I forget. Let's just say guy makes it 20. I made it 60 with like ace rag, ace five off.
Okay.
It was like a 10 high flop.
Were you in position or was he?
Yeah, I was in position.
Okay.
It was like a 10 high flop, and the guy donk led into me for like $50 after I three bet him. But this is a guy who I've played with quite a bit, and I just know his bet sizing and everything, like down to like almost like on the turn. I called because I just thought I could take it away on the turn a lot. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if he ever has a set, he's never donk leading to balance that range. It's always one pair, yes, or a draw.
Okay.
So it was a 10 high flop, and he donk led, and the turn was a king. I think he donk led for, let's say, 70, or no, I don't know what the size was. I think it was smaller, brought the size of my three bet.
Well, into 130, you said he bet 50, but that ballpark,
Yeah,
like half
like
pottish.
it was probably 60.
Okay.
And then the turn, he bet like 70 when a king came.
Okay.
Which is always, he has a 10 probably, but he's terrified.
Okay.
And I just popped it to 300.
Yeah.
And he just, you're lucky again, and folds,
Yeah.
But like that is like, you get perfect information from this guy with his turn bet sizing.
Yeah.
Like, like if he's going to do that, he just doesn't know that he has to do it the same way with it. He's always check raising his set, or check calling and being cute and trying to hope you blast away on the river kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of guy where you want to play against, obviously. But he gives his lines are very consistent, and his bet sizing is very consistent. So you can float there even if you don't have a lot of backdoor equity, because you can just take it away on the turn, like, pretty frequently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be, this is, I'm still improving at the cash game, but I'm getting smarter.
Right
and
on.
like I said, I think from here forward, I'd like to think, well, first of all, less variance. I mean, like last year I talked about after the summer in Vegas, I bricked 30 straight tournaments.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I would have absolutely gone broke if I didn't start getting my carbon poker money.
Yeah.
So I think cash will be less variance. And like I said, I'd like to think I've turned the corner. Well, I'm just simply will be a profitable player. And over the next 12 months, I'll make my whatever it is. I'd like to think 25 is the low end and 40 is the high end.
Hourly,
Which on my hourly of cash game. Yeah. Assuming I don't, go off the reservation and sit at 10.25 one day and, blow 12K and.
Well, what you've done is pretty damn impressive. I mean, you came out here over a year ago, and so far, I mean, other than, snacks from Uber, you've made your living playing cards.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's a damn good accomplishment, man. Most people cannot say that.
True, and I've just made so many mistakes.
Well, that's how you learn.
That I feel like, yeah, things are going to get better from here.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Poker's always getting, like I said, they've increased the rake twice at Oceans since I moved here.
Ooh. Yeah.
It used to be 4-1, and now it's 5-1 with $1 on the river.
Oh,
and
wow.
Even the regs there, and the games just get, like I said, I mean, I have to end on the negative note here, but like I said, I'd like to think 2-3. Of course, nights are just killers there. Like the one kid who's kind of, I don't want to say my mentor, but he's like helping me out and giving me advice here and there. He said, these games will be unbeatable in a couple of years. He's like, the word is out. The food here is great. And it's just North County, San Diego's the nuts. I mean, this is where people want to live.
Yeah.
And, the 1025 only. So basically the games, the rake's bigger. The games are going to keep getting tougher. Like I said, it's a small enough card room where if a couple pros move in, there's this one English kid. I don't know where the hell he came from, but I've seen him there like 3 times over the past week.
Probably England.
And, well, yeah, good one. But I'm guessing he's in the U.S. as like a student or something like that. He's like 22, and and then I told you about this kid Jordan who was from Arizona, and he moved out there, and he's just a fucking stud and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
So these guys have already like ruined, but I just, other than Friday nights, like this one guy was telling me, he's like, you should only play 5-5 on Tuesday and Friday nights. Tuesday, because these are the days the 10-25 game goes, first of all. So the best games aren't there. Best players aren't there. And Friday, there's just so many weak players that come there with their paychecks. So even if the studs are there, you still are probably...
There's still enough of a honey hole to...
But yeah, like I said, the rake's gone up. The play is getting tougher. And actually, it's funny. I had this conversation with this kid, Tom, in Vegas. Maybe I can't remember if we discussed this. We were talking about... it's funny talking about table press. I played with him in a couple tournaments, and he wears like cheap glass. He's like a goofball at the table, and you're just like, this is just a young kid who likes poker. Is not very good. But of course, I talked to him, and he's like, just breaking it out with money. He's like, yeah, oh, man, it's drying up there in New Mexico. I only made $200K last year. I forget. But he says
I
as
only
much
bought
as
4 Porsches this month.
No, but I forget where he plays. Some like reservation, I think it was in New Mexico, and like the Omaha game there is great, where he can just murder it.
Yeah.
PLO game. And I'm talking about North County, San Diego. If you want to make a living in poker, you have to go someplace where no other pros want to live.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a place with some money. He's like, San Diego people want to live there. You know what I mean? I just thought that was interesting. Where he's like, don't be anywhere not near a city, because people like, young guys like cities where it's social. Basically anywhere where there's just a bunch of old guys playing poker, which, is not physically cool to live in, which is like, that only describes like 1 out of 50 poker rooms, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking at least in Vegas, some of the outlying, actually where the tourists are pretty good.
Vegas people, there are a lot of pros living in Vegas, obviously. Like, maybe like Oklahoma.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's a place in North Texas or someplace where but North County, San Diego definitely does not meet that quality.
Yeah.
Because like I said, this is like, the pros here are just, are swarming to it. But,
I've always said where I've made money, is like he said, especially online, is playing in the rooms that people, on the software that people don't want to play on. And like with Bovada, there's not a lot of guys that don't want the synchronized breaks. It's a lot tougher to make money on Stars than it is on Bovada.
And of course, bumping the rake.
Pacific Poker, nobody wanted to play on that software. Back then, nobody had a clue. You'll make more money there than you will on Full Tilt.
Right. And like I said, with the rate going up, that just makes the amateurs go broke quicker. It doesn't scare at least the top pros away.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, even the day games, these old bastards will squeeze you with 8, 10.
Yeah.
And, but like I said, there's enough guys who are regulars there where I really should especially if I'm there, every day and playing my 40, 50 hours, I'm just going to even get more attuned to their bet sizing and the lines they like and all that kind of stuff. And, there's always, every day, regardless of what time you go there, if I was there at 10 a.m., there's going to be 3 or 4 poker pros, people make a living playing poker.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other guys are going to be tight. So it's like, but I don't know. Yeah. Like my last 25 sessions, let me just quickly estimate and say that I've only had like 7 or 8 losing. I don't think any more over $1,000.
Okay. Where
not only am I winning more, but I think, I probably had 3 or 4 at least that are 1,500 to 2,000 kind of thing,
Nice.
So I'd like to think, like at this table, like in this game, I should just never get my ass handed to me unless I'm just getting coolered from hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm not making all the big outrageous bluffs all the time.
Yeah.
And just getting called off. So anyways, for the moment, I'm cautiously optimistic about poker. Like you said, I have been making a living at this for 2 years now. So I'm still talking like I'm a guy who just, walked off the boat here, but I am on a certain level. I'm still pretty new to this.
Yeah. That's the game, is the guy that learns the fastest wins. And,
right.
I think with the, the work that well, we haven't studied in a while, but that's coming up, and just constantly studying, watching videos, talking to guys. If you can learn faster than your competition, then you'll win.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I've won the past, and I'm still making like a lot of huge mistakes. Like I really just got to figure out pre-flop ranges. You know what I mean? Like how I mean, how important is it to isolate this guy with this hand,
Yeah.
with X hand? You know, it feels crazy when it's limp, 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 and you got pocket deuces on the small blind. Like, aren't you supposed to be squeezing with it? No, let's just hit the set. I know I'm often just not maximizing value or whatever when I do hit it, but yeah. So like these are the questions I gotta figure out, and like I said, even if studying hard there adds $5 an hour to my winnings, that's a lot over the course. That's $10,000 this year, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think that's a big one, dude. I think if you're isolating the fish, what you should be doing, just tighten up a little bit. And then I think you'll notice the regs to your left are going to respect those a little bit more, and they're not going to be flatting there as much, and you will get heads up with the fish who's going to call anyways,
right.
Instead of, going 3 or 4 way to the flop and you got 2 regs to your left that you're going to have to worry about when you put in a C bet.
Yeah, and just obviously still just number one is just, big bets by amateur players on rivers mean they have it.
Yeah. And check raises.
Period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I have folded a couple aces, but I mean, I always defend it with like, well, I've seen this guy make some moves this time, but usually it's always bad when I'm right too, because that encourages me to do it. Like the other day, I hadn't played with this guy before, but an older guy, like check raised me on the turn, and I'm like, it just felt weird. I called him with pocket nines with a jack on board, and the river was like a king.
Oh, that sounds just like our hand, or like Marius's hand.
yeah, funny. Yeah, I don't. Maybe I'm just describing the same hand, but anyways, this guy bet huge on the river. Bet like 500, and I had like pocket nines was my hand, and there were 2 overs. I forget what they were.
Yeah.
And one of them was definitely a king. And it just didn't feel. I mean, I did. It wasn't just like a frustration call. I'm like, well, what is he? This guy had position. I'm like, so I guess he wouldn't be check raising on the turn. He would just be raising. But I'm like, what could he possibly be betting on this fucking board? There's no one pair hand he's doing this with. He's got a set. So I called, and he had like pocket 4s or something.
For a set or?
No, nothing.
Oh, huh.
So, but like I'm going to be wrong there more often than not against the guy who I haven't played against him, but he's older and something. He just had some look to him that he liked to bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've been playing with an hour. He probably got caught in a bluff, so it was decent. But basically, I mean, I guess it's a good read. And like I said, if he's got a set, he's not betting that big.
Yeah.
Or maybe he is, but I didn't think so. So I guess you could say it's a good read, but that's the problem when you do start picking off these bluffs, because everyone's like, whoa, how'd you call with that? And everyone's like, whoa, how did he bluff with that? So, yeah, I should be hearing the word whoa, like great call, like much less frequently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, so I guess you could say that's high quality poker that I did. I picked off a good bluff there.
Yeah.
But like I said, if just over a course of 100 hands, when that kind of somebody takes that line, when I call him down, it's losing money for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We ready to say goodbye here, Steve?
I think so. Let's go ahead.
What do you? I'd like to. Not that I'm trying to weasel back into the co-host, but if you do have like Carlos or some of these guys on, I would like to join too.
I've been waiting for you to say that, man. That's exciting. Okay.
So, no, I mean, I know you invited me in for the KB one, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I forget what's going on that day. So, yeah, man. And, yeah, Carlos is getting ready for his Western trek here. Carlos is so busy. I don't know why I'm acting like his PR guy where he actually wants to be on the show. But I would actually like to know what he's planning, what he's up to here.
He's coming out, huh?
He is moving west, yeah.
Oh, he's moving.
Yeah, remember that was the whole thing where we did the Rampage Diaries, where he was thinking of moving west.
Well,
And now
yeah,
that's
I thought that was that ship had sailed, but I guess it has
no,
not.
no, he's coming out here, man. I think that's set in stone here. Right now, he's in like Georgia, settling some stuff up and blah blah blah. And
Oh, good
I
for
think
him.
he's got some weird ass travel plans that involve like going to Pittsburgh and then
Okay,
from
where's he
from
gonna set up camp?
I think Vegas. He likes Vegas.
Nice, right on. Good for him. So you gonna rent from the crazy Brazilian lady?
No, he's gonna live in the van somehow.
Okay,
Other
in
than
Vegas, huh?
other than a couple months in summer, I guess it's livable there. I don't know. This is why I say you should bring the guy on, man.
Okay, we got to get him on. Maybe we'll do that next week.
Okay, brother. We'll have a. Thanks for having me on, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. If you want to throw out your Twitter for anyone that might want to back you coming up.
Rampage Poker.
Rampage Poker. Right on. And
Those sweatshirts are going like hotcakes, by the way.
Awesome. I got some hats getting made right now, so you should have one
That's
of
the
those.
most transparent lie in the history of lies. But anyway,
I'm gonna get you a hat made. What do you want on the side of it? Rampage?
oh, you can actually get it. You can get Heads Up Poker Podcast with your name on the side too. This is an ambitious undertaking.
Oh, this is We're shaking and moving here.
All I need is your friendship, Steve.
Okay.
Hats are not important to me.
Just a kiss on the cheek and a slap on the ass, and you're good to go.
Oh, did we really have to end on this note? Let's just do 10 more hands so I can forget that. No. Okay, Stevie, have a great one.
Okay, you too. And thank you for tuning in. If you want to follow Mike, you can do so on Twitter, or you can go to his website, Rampage Poker. If you want to support the podcast, go to HeadsUpPoker.Poker, click on the Support Us tab, and you can, next time you buy something on iTunes, if you want your free MP3 from Elliot Rowe, who we had on last week, or if you want to join Tournament Poker Edge, those will all help out the podcast on the Support Us page. So, you have a great week. Thank you for telling everyone, telling a friend, and tuning others into the podcast. That's how we grow. And thank you, Marius, for putting out a hand for us. Here is your weekly motivational speech.
Sometimes we get so caught up on, I'm not feeling it today, or I don't like that person, or I don't like this circumstance or this situation. You got to get mature, and you got to be at a place when you say you're going to do something, no matter what happens, you do it. Because again, when you start grinding, when you start waking up early, when you start, keeping your word to yourself, to your boss, like when you go into 120, when you all in by any means necessary, you start seeing stuff and you start experiencing stuff and you start having stuff that people who are not doing that, they never get. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are, what you subconsciously believe that you deserve. And as you look at where you want to go, you are constantly working deliberately in the process of developing yourself to become that kind of person, that kind of manager, having that kind of consciousness to create what you want to create in your life experience. A lot of people lay back and wait for their ship to come in. No. I think you need to swim out there to that ship and pull it in.